Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing a video talking to you about the chest rig that you can see here in front of you. This is one that I put together after the Broke the Boujee series. I realized I was trying to make a series showing how to go from a pretty affordable setup to a pretty bougie setup with a rifle, but then using a really high-end piece of nylon kit to be able to facilitate that testing. So I figured it would probably behoove me to try to find a more budget-friendly chest rig that can go along with the budget-friendly setup. Now, if you've been in this world for long enough, you've probably had some experience with Condor gear. That's where many of us got our start, 10 years or so ago when I started really diving into this stuff. That's what my budget could afford, so that's what I was getting into. However, they, whether warranted or not, have had a up and down reputation within the industry as far as quality of manufacturing and just overall design and execution and all that kind of stuff. So I figured, let me go ahead and revisit the Condor equipment, see how good it is or how maybe bad it is, how out of spec it is, etc. And then let me also test out a budget setup for a chest rig like this that would lower the barrier to entry for a lot of people who wanted to get into this or be a little bit more prepared. So what I did is I basically set a budget of $100 and set out on Amazon to see what I could put together, and that is what you see in front of me. So not including the contents of any of these pouches, this whole setup was, I think it was maybe $1 over $100, but if you're interested, I'll have links to everything below. For what it's worth, there'll be affiliate links, so if you buy it, it's no added expense to you, but I do get a little bit back from Amazon if you use it. Do with that information what you will. But what we have here is something that I've been running for quite a while now. It's been in a bunch of videos before this, and now I figure it's time for me to talk to you guys about it. So at its core, this is one of the flat panel chest rigs from Condor. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can go with chest rigs. Obviously, the micro chest rigs are super popular. They have options for that. I already had that. That was the Haley rig that I was running before, the HRT rig that you guys have seen before. For this one, I wanted something a little bit better as a standalone rig that I can carry a little bit more and have a little bit more sustainment on. And so that's what you see. So basically, this is the one that has the flat panel with MOLLE that has 6 different pouches along the front of it, as well as an admin hook and loop pouch behind that. So map pouch, whatever you want. It does have hook and loop inside, so if you wanted to mount anything else inside for organization, you have that option. But again, I've got 6 cells across the front. I personally really wanted something that would allow me to still get pretty low to the ground in the prone position and still afford me decent capacity as far as mags. So instead of having the double cell that's going to cause me to sit up off the ground a little bit further, having it single across the front, I'm able to have 5 mags plus a radio in one of those pouches. It is also worth mentioning, if you want to keep the little bungee tethers, I did just to test it out, but I do have some of the like S-Tac little Kydex or whatever material it is, kind of retainers in every other one just to help with re-indexing, and that's actually worked out really well. It is worth pointing out that it only really works with AR mags. It does not work with AK mags, whether that's 47 or 74. I've also used it with a variety of AR mags, like Gen 3P mags, which can have issues in fitment with some pouches. These work with all of them. I've got Lancers in here now, but I've run Magpols, GI mags, whatever you want, they'll still fit in here. And then, because I had the field of MOLLE in front, I was able to still have some extra organization. So I have a couple general purpose pouches, one set up on either side, and then I've got a 3-cell pistol mag pouch across the front. Now, I don't need that many on the front, so I've got other things in the front here. So I've got some OC pepper spray, and then I've got a multi-tool. Again, I wanted to be able to have as much available at my fingertips as possible without being absurd about trying to carry too much stuff that doesn't really make sense. But basically, I'm able to have like tools and organization, notebooks, compasses, etc. Oil if I need to for maintenance. I've also got, writing utensils, tape, lighter, etc. Things of that nature. And then obviously I've got space for morale patches on the front to express my nerddom with Minutemen and the Imperium here on the front. Now, again, overall, what that allows me to do is have a fairly low profile, fairly svelte setup that has been A, servicing me really well so far, and B, allowing me to do so comfortably. Now, it's not without its issues. So let me go ahead and talk a little bit about my experience that I've had so far, both good and bad with this. So whatever the stereotype is you want to use for people who are into airsoft or the more budget-friendly rigs, this thing comes with the capacity to expand out pretty far. And while I may have lost about 25 pounds in the last 2 months, even when I was back at 250 pounds, there was way too much material in the webbing. Now it does allow you to have keepers so you can roll that excess up and stow it. But what then I found was when I had something slung, if that sling got trapped behind that bundle, I had to basically wrestle with it. So that was kind of a pain and not something I want to have to necessarily deal with. Again, you can cut those down and reduce the amount of bulk that those things are creating. But again, I just wanted to test it as it comes. Hopefully, if you're watching this video and you're looking for something like this, you too will find a lot of excess material. And again, what I'm going to do after I'm done filming this video and I get the B-roll shots, I'm going to be chopping those down, burning the ends to keep it from fraying, and then taping it together just so it's a nice smooth surface. And I'm not going to have this thing bind up, excuse me. I will leave a little bit of excess just so in case I need to expand it if I'm running a jacket or anything else. I still want to keep it as low profile as possible. One thing that I have found too with this, and this is something that I found way back when I was running Condor stuff 10 years ago, the MOLLE is not perfectly to spec. You will kind of see the sewing lines vary a little bit as it's running down each section. What that means is you'll have some that are like give you plenty of space to feed things through, and some where it's really, really tight. Now, not all of them are like that. Most of them are pretty close, but you will have some where you need a set of pliers to be able to pull things through, and it just creates more issues than I think is really necessary. One of the other things, too, just as far as things that I'm not crazy about with this, is the overall retention bungees. To me, the bungees are suboptimal, especially if this is going to be what you're predominantly running. I understand why they're there, and I understand why people would want to run them. However, I much prefer those like Kydex inserts, again, whether that's the Haley strategic ones or the S-Tac ones that I have in there. So ultimately, my plan is to replace all of these bungees with those, so I still have retention without needing the active bungees holding it down. I'm never going to find myself in a situation where those things are going to come flying out if I don't have the bungee holding them down. Again, I just wanted to leave them in there so you guys can see it. Is it the end of the world? No, but when it comes to trying to re-index things, those can get back in the way, and by getting those off and having those retainers inside allows it to just stay open, make indexing or re-indexing much, much easier. Now, as far as the good, again, overall, price-wise, this thing has served me exceedingly well. Bang for your buck, it's really hard to beat. If you're looking for even a more stripped down version of a, recce chest rig, you're looking at least 50% additional cost for a stripped down version. If you want something with as much administration or features of this one, you're looking at least 100% over the cost of this one. And I will even say that in IR, it's really not that bad. Is it going to be as IR non-reflective as some of the more high-end equipment? No, but I think it was last weekend I was doing some shooting with this thing, and I had an IR light filming me with my more IR sensitive camera, and it wasn't glowing or anything crazy like that. So it does fairly well. To me, this thing punches well above its weight class. It's also still fairly comfortable. Now again, I'm not loading this thing down immensely, but when all the mags and everything are filled, the added width and cushion to these shoulder straps are really, really nice. Speaking of the shoulder straps, I should mention it is an X harness. I know some people prefer the H style harness. This one's an X. It does have, as you'll see, kind of a keeper that keeps the two together. Generally speaking, that works out pretty well for me. I obviously, as with most cases, I do usually have to have someone help me out and kind of clean me up at the back, especially if I'm wearing a jacket and the straps get all twisted as I'm putting it on. And it does have this waist strap that goes around to just keep everything from flopping around too much. With the shoulder straps, you do have the slots for MOLLE, so if you wanted to put something up here, or clip up push to talk or anything like that up here, you can. If you wanted to route it for hydration, you could, if that's how you prefer to run your hydration. Radio wires, however you want to do it, you do have options there. I tend to keep them pretty slick unless I'm running my PTT, when I'm running a helmet and all that kind of stuff. It does have built in these little bungee or kind of elastic bands that hold a cat tourniquet really, really well. Tried having a pair of flex cuffs on this side and it just kept digging into my arm. So be really careful about what you put in here, because it is going to be rubbing it against your forearms and everything else. And as you can see, I do still have space for other things. So if I wanted to put, chem lights or, a little Gremlock to be able to hang gloves off of, I could. And again, as long as you're running this thing correctly, i.e. up at your chest, not down by your belly, it does not impede access to anything on a belt if you're running an external belt, at least not in my experience. It does make it a little bit harder to see, so if you're trying to look things back in, that can be a little bit more difficult depending on how you have it set up, but it does not restrict access to anything on those belts. Now, if you're looking at this and there's something you say, well, I don't need that, or I want a bigger pouch for this, or I need extra stuff for that, that's the nice thing about the base chest rig, is because it's just a field of MOLLE with the bungee on the sides, you can customize it to whatever you want. Again, this has been successful for me. I'm not going out doing multi-day patrols or anything crazy like that. I'm just LARPing at the range. But I'm confident where if I was and I had a pack on, I could get a lot done with this chest rig. Again, right at $100. Obviously there's other color options, etc. But I went into this expecting to be able to have not too flattering things. I went into this expecting to not have too flattering of things to say about the Condor rig, but again, it just works, and there's not too much else to say beyond that. Obviously, if you have experience, whether good or bad, with Condor, please put that in the comment section down below, because the more broad the experience, the better. And when you're dealing with things in this price range, that's when you're more likely to see a greater variance between the median experience, I should say. Like that gap is going to be wider. There's a higher chance you're going to deal with unfavorable experiences, and some people are going to have really great experiences. That gap is wider. So the more input we have, the better, but definitely let me know what you think. This was something that I ran by my patrons, and they really liked the idea of. It took me a while to finally do it, because I wanted to get pretty thorough testing going through this. If there is additional testing you'd like to see to further stress test this chest rig and see how it performs, let me know down in the comment section down below. I do want to say thanks to my patrons for helping to make a video like this one possible. One of the months I used all of the income that I got from Patreon to set this rig up. So they were what make this channel possible. Because of that, I post all my content over there early. We do live streams, we do some behind the scenes content. If any of that stuff sounds interesting, or you just want to financially support the channel, definitely follow the links down in the description below. But with all that being said, as always, I hope you got something out of this video, and I really appreciate you watching.
I was running so fast.
Timer.
I was running like a kid with light up shoes.
How do you feel about that awful performance?
I'd like to thank God. I'd like to thank the Academy for even considering me. And I'd like to thank my cardio for creating an obstacle. It's my...